Elias lived alone on a quiet space station at the edge of the galaxy. He was small, shy, and spent most of his days fixing machines. The walls of his apartment were bare, and the lights flickered softly. He did not like people, and people did not like him much either. Cooking was the one thing he could not do. Every meal he made was burnt or cold, so one day, out of desperation, he posted a simple job ad. "I need a cook. Must be reliable," he typed. He did not expect anyone to reply, let alone an alien. The next day, a message came from a name he could not read. It looked strange, filled with symbols and letters he had never seen. Elias felt a shiver run down his spine. The message said simply, "I will come. I can cook." He stared at the screen, unsure if it was a joke or a threat, but the words felt powerful, calm, and real. A few hours later, there was a knock at his door. Elias hesitated. Staring at the shadow in the hallway, the door opened, and a giant alien woman stood there. She was taller than the doorway. With broad shoulders and long arms, her skin glowed faintly in soft blue shades. Her eyes were deep and dark. Watching him carefully, Elias froze, unsure if he should scream or run. "Hello," she said in a voice that rumbled softly. Elias almost fell backward, but he nodded. I hired a cook." "You are the cook?" he asked. She smiled slightly, showing no teeth. "I am the cook," she said simply. She did not ask for pay or food, only a place to stay. Her calm presence made Elias feel both safe and afraid. Something about her made the room feel smaller, heavier, alive. She carried her belongings silently, placing them neatly in the corner. Her movements were precise, like a machine, but graceful. Elias watched from his chair, heart beating fast. She turned to him once and tilted her head slightly. He felt her studying him as if she knew all his fears. "I will start tonight," she said. Elias nodded, unsure what else to do. That evening, strange sounds came from the kitchen. Clanging, chopping, and soft humming filled the room. Elias tried to peek, but she caught him with a glance. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. She did not speak, only moved quickly and silently. When he finally saw the meal, it was perfect, steaming, fragrant, and alive with colors. He could not understand how one being could create something so perfect, and yet he could not shake the feeling that she was watching him more than cooking. That night, Elias lay awake in bed. He heard footsteps moving slowly across the floor. He thought it was the ship settling, but the sounds were soft, deliberate, careful. He peeked from the blankets and saw her standing in the shadows. She held something in her hands, a long, curved blade made of strange metal. Elias froze, unable to breathe. She looked at him and smiled, a smile that was both comforting and terrifying. "I protect this house," she whispered. Elias swallowed hard, unsure if she meant herself or him. He could not sleep for the rest of the night, and he did not know if he was more afraid of her or of what she could do. The next morning, breakfast was ready, and the table was perfect. Elias sat, heart still racing. He knew his life had changed forever. Something powerful had entered his world, and he had no idea what it would bring. From the next morning, Elias noticed something strange about Carathio. She moved through the apartment silently, faster than any human could. Her hands were precise, her movements careful. Every dish she cooked was perfect, every corner of the house spotless, but she never ate with him. She only watched him as he ate, eyes calm but unreadable. Elias tried to talk to her, to ask normal questions. "Do you like human food?" he asked one morning. She tilted her head and said nothing. "I will cook what you need," she said. Her voice was soft, but there was a power behind it, a presence he could not explain. Days passed, and Elias began to feel watched constantly. She seemed to know when he was nervous or tired. She would appear silently in the doorway, watching him, not threatening, but alert, aware. He began to notice small details she did, the way he held a cup, the rhythm of his footsteps, his breathing. It was as if she was mapping him, studying him. One evening, Elias heard her speaking softly in a strange language. He could not recognize the words. It was melodic, almost like a chant. He asked her what it was. She said, "It is a prayer for safety," but her eyes glowed faintly in the dark. Elias felt a shiver run down his spine. He could not tell if the prayer was for him or for something else. She started asking him small questions about humans. "Do humans fear darkness?" she asked. "Do humans dream of danger?" He answered cautiously, unsure why she wanted to know. She nodded and smiled faintly. The smile was comforting. but something in it made him uneasy. It was as if she was learning, always learning. Other people on the station began to notice her presence. No one came near his apartment anymore. The neighbors whispered about the giant alien woman. Even the merchants at the market avoided her. Elias felt both proud and terrified. He had someone powerful protecting him, but he also felt trapped under a silent gaze. At night, he sometimes heard her moving across the room. He would peek from under his blanket. She would stand by the window, looking at the stars. He could not tell what she was thinking. Her presence filled the room like a shadow and a light at the same time. One night, he woke up to a strange noise. A soft scratching came from the kitchen. When he looked, she was standing over a pile of utensils. She was whispering in her language again. The knife in her hand glinted softly. Elias's heart pounded in fear. He wanted to run but could not move. Then she looked at him, eyes calm, and put the knife down. She smiled softly, and he felt both relief and terror. By the end of the week, Elias realized something. Carathea was not just a cook. She was learning him, studying him, watching him. There was a purpose behind every move, every glance, every soft word. He could feel it deep in his bones. Something powerful and dangerous had entered his life, and he could not escape it. One morning, as Elias walked through the crowded market, he noticed an old alien merchant staring at him. The merchant's eyes were sharp, filled with worry. He called Elias over in a low voice. "You should be careful," the merchant said. Elias frowned, unsure why a stranger would warn him. "Who? Me? Why?" he asked. The merchant leaned closer, voice barely a whisper. "The woman you hired? She's not ordinary." Elias felt a chill run down his spine. "The giant woman. She's my cook," he said. The merchant shook his head slowly. "She belongs to a feared clan, a clan of guardians and hunters. They bond with weak beings, protect them, but in ways humans cannot understand. Fear is their tool, and power is their law." Elias did not understand. Fear bond, power. He tried to ask more, but the merchant only nodded toward the shadows and disappeared. Elias returned home, heart pounding. The corridors of the station felt narrower, darker, alive with whispers. When he entered his apartment, Carathea was standing in the kitchen, calm as always. She noticed his tension immediately, eyes scanning him like she could see inside his mind. "You are tense," she said softly. Elias swallowed hard. Someone warned me about you," he said. Her eyes flickered with something he could not name. "Warnings do not matter," she said. "I am here to protect, to watch, to keep you safe." Her voice was calm, but the weight of it pressed on him. He felt the truth of her words, and also the danger hidden behind them. That night, strange noises came from outside his door. He thought of the warning in the market, and then the attack began. Small, quiet, almost invisible. Shadows moved along the walls, alien shapes creeping closer. Elias froze, heart hammering. Before he could do anything, Carathea was there. She moved faster than he had ever seen, a blur of strength, precision, and silent power. The intruders fell silently, one by one. Metal clanged, then silence. Elias could not breathe. He stared as Carathea returned to the kitchen. Blood and broken armor littered the floor. She looked at him calmly, as if nothing had happened. "I failed to protect you," she whispered. "You must trust me completely." Elias wanted to run, wanted to scream, but his body did not respond. The reality of her power hit him like a shockwave. Over the next few days, Elias noticed small signs of her study. She observed him while he ate, while he slept, while he worked. She asked subtle questions about human habits, human fear, human weakness. Elias realized the merchant had been right. She was learning him, mapping him, understanding what made him vulnerable. But at the same time, she was protecting him from dangers he could not even see. The quiet moments of the apartment were never truly quiet. He could feel her presence in every shadow, every corner, every silent sound. Elias began to understand a terrifying truth. Carathea was not just a cook, not just a guardian. She was something far older, far stronger, and far stranger than any human could imagine, and he was now completely inside her world. Whether he wanted to be or not, 1 week after Carathea arrived, the quiet apartment suddenly felt tense. Elias was working on a small repair when he heard a strange sound, metal scraping against metal, followed by soft, heavy footsteps. He froze, heart racing. Before he could react, the door burst open. 3 alien criminals stormed inside, weapons raised, eyes wild. They shouted in harsh alien tongues, demanding he give them the tech he had been fixing. Elias backed away, trembling. He tried to hide, tried to reason with them, but they were too strong, too fast, too cruel. Then a soft humming sound filled the room. He turned slowly and saw Carathiel standing in the shadows. Her eyes glowed brightly, and her body seemed to grow larger. She moved forward, quiet as a ghost. The first intruder raised his weapon. Carathiel snapped her fingers, and his arms froze in place. Metal bent and twisted around him as if the air itself obeyed her. She moved to the second attacker, and with one hand, she lifted him into the air. Elias could barely watch, fear and awe locking him in place. The third tried to attack, but Carathiel was faster than thought. She grabbed his weapon, broke it in her hands, and threw him across the room. The sound of crashing metal and bone filled the apartment. Elias could not breathe. He wanted to run but could not move. Carathiel's face was calm, almost gentle, and yet every movement radiated power and terror. Within minutes, the intruders were on the floor, broken, unconscious. The apartment was silent again, except for the soft hum of Carathiel's presence. She turned to Elias, kneeling before him. "I failed to protect you properly," she said softly. Elias's voice shook as he asked, You saved me." "All of them." She nodded, her eyes glowing faintly. Then she did something he did not understand. She pressed her hand against her arm, and a burning symbol appeared, glowing faintly. "This bond," she said, "means you are under my protection forever." Elias felt a cold shiver run down his spine. He realized this was not just protection. It was a claim, a mark that tied his life to hers. He wanted to scream, to resist, but he felt powerless. Carathiel's power was undeniable, overwhelming. Yet, in the same moment, he felt strangely safe. The fear of the intruders melted, replaced by a terrifying calm. He knew now that nothing could reach him while she was near. But the cost of that safety made his chest feel heavy. For the first time, Elias saw her fully, not just as a cook, not just as a silent watcher, but as a force, ancient and powerful. She was both his shield and his storm, and he understood the warning the old merchant had given him. She was not like anyone else in the galaxy, and he was now completely bound to her world, whether he wanted to be or not. That night, Elias lay awake, staring at the ceiling. He could hear Carathiel moving silently through the apartment. Every shadow felt alive with her presence. He did not know whether to feel relief or terror, and he realized one thing clearly. His life had changed forever, and there was no going back. The day after the attack, Elias could not stop thinking about what had happened. Carathiel moved through the apartment as usual, calm, silent, precise, but now, Elias watched her more closely, trying to understand. He noticed the way she studied him, always observing, always aware. Every question she asked, every glance, every small movement had a purpose. One evening, he finally asked, trembling, "Why? Why are you protecting me?" Carathiel paused, her eyes glowing softly in the dim light. "I am of a species that protects fragile life," she said slowly. "Humans are weak, but they are clever, brave, and unpredictable." Elias frowned, confused. "You are not just a cook," he whispered. "I am your guardian," she replied. Her voice was calm but full of power. "The cooking was never the real purpose," she added. "You were never only my employer. You are my charge." Elias shivered, feeling the weight of her words. He realized the truth of the bond that had been formed. The mark on her arm, the symbol that glowed faintly. It was not just a threat or a promise. It was a connection, a tie between their lives. One could not exist without the other. It was terrifying and strangely comforting at the same time. Over the next few days, he noticed small changes in himself. He felt stronger in ways he could not explain. His senses sharpened slightly, and fear became easier to control. Carathiel began teaching him in small, subtle ways, not with words, but with actions, movements, and gestures. He learned how to read danger, how to move silently, how to survive. Her lessons were simple, but the meaning was deep. He realized that humans could grow beyond their limits if guided, that even a weak human could survive with the right protection. Yet, the bond was not just protection. It demanded trust, obedience, and honesty. Elias felt both trapped and free at the same time. He knew that she could destroy anyone who threatened him, and yet, he began to understand that she was learning from him too. She had never met a human who did not immediately fear her. He faced her power calmly, even when his body trembled, and that surprised her more than he could imagine. One night, they stood on the balcony of the space station, watching stars drift across the black sky. Carathiel spoke softly. Humans grow by facing fear, not hiding from it. Elias nodded. Then you have taught me well, but I must choose how to be strong, not just rely on you. Her glowing eyes softened, and for the first time, she smiled fully. There was respect in her gaze, and perhaps even admiration. The bond was no longer just one way. It was a connection between strength and courage, between guardian and charge, between alien and human. Elias felt a strange pride. He understood that humans were not weak, not truly. Their courage, cleverness, and spirit could surprise even the strongest beings in the galaxy. Carathiel nodded, silently agreeing. For the first time, Elias realized that their bond was not a cage. It was a chance, a bridge between two worlds, and together they could face anything. The apartment was quiet, but alive with the presence of both. The galaxy outside felt larger, wilder, and full of danger, and Elias finally understood the truth, that he was not just a human under protection. He was a human who could inspire even the most powerful alien to respect him. Days passed, and Elias felt the bond with Carathiel grow stronger. He understood her presence, her strength, and her purpose. Yet something inside him stirred, a feeling he could not ignore. He did not want to live only under protection. He wanted to face fear, to make choices, to be truly human. One evening, he turned to Carathiel, voice trembling but firm. I cannot only rely on you, he said. I must face danger myself. Even if I fail. Carathiel stared at him, eyes wide with surprise. No human had ever spoken to her like that. Her species always demanded obedience, respect, and fear. But Elias spoke with courage. Even in trembling words, it was not defiance, but strength, born from trust and determination. Carathiel's glow softened, and she nodded slowly. You are brave, she whispered. For a fragile being, your courage is unusual. I must learn from you as you learn from me. Elias felt a strange pride. He realized that humans, though physically weak, could inspire even the strongest beings. That fear was not power, and courage could surprise the galaxy. The station suddenly shook, alarms ringing. A new threat approached, unknown and dangerous. Elias gripped a small tool, ready to help. Carathiel stood beside him, ready as always, but now, something had changed. He did not tremble as much, he did not hide. He faced the threat with eyes wide open, heart racing but determined. Together, they confronted the danger. Carathiel's strength and skill combined with Elias's courage and quick thinking. They moved as one, protector and human. The attackers faltered, surprised by the humans' bravery. Elias realized that strength was not just in power, but in spirit, in determination, in willingness to act even when fear is strong. After the threat was gone, the station calm again. Carathiel smiled fully, for the first time sharing a meal with him. They sat together, eating, not as guardian and charge, not as alien and human, but as equals, partners in a galaxy full of danger. Elias realized that humans could grow beyond expectation, that courage could change even the most powerful beings, and that humanity's spirit could surprise the galaxy itself. From that day, the apartment was quiet, yet alive. Elias and Carathiel moved together, working, learning, living. The galaxy outside remained vast, wild, and dangerous, but they faced it as one. Humanity had shown its value, not through strength alone, but through courage, trust, and will, and Carathiel understood something she had never known before, that even the smallest, weakest beings could leave an impact stronger than any weapon. And Elias finally felt free. Free not because danger was gone, but because he had found courage within himself, and through that courage, he had changed the galaxy. The story ended not with fear, but with respect, wonder, and hope, a quiet reminder that humans, fragile yet fearless, could survive, inspire, and surprise the universe in ways no one expected.